What's up, everyone? Nukin here, back with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, and I'm super pumped because we have a guest on our channel, Cubs fan Han. What's up, Cubs?
What's going on, Nukin? Stoked to be doing our second collab video.
Yeah, so this is our second video in our collab series, and be sure to check out the first one that we did on Cubs fan Han's channel. We did a video on how to beat Commander Luke, Scumbag Luke, without using Commander Luke, and that's on Cubs Fans Han channel, and the link will be in the description. Do you want to talk about a little bit what we're going to be discussing in this video, Cubs?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Gear 12, and not just Gear 12, but the gear that you get past Gear 12. A lot of you are having dilemmas in the Territory Battle store on how do I prioritize this gear? Should I be going all out on getting this Gear 12 gear? Should I be farming Hermit Yoda? Should I be farming ships or gear or whatever else is in there? And so today we're going to kind of do a methodical analysis on how much of a difference that gear past Gear 12, so not just getting them to Gear 12, but those three pieces of gear, like the Armatech, med packs, the multi-tools, the bayonets, that kind of thing. How big of a difference does that gear make past Gear 12, and how valuable is it to you in the arena?
Right, and then we're going to show the top 3 meta teams at Gear 12, and then maxed out. There are going to be 3 leaders: Commander Luke, General Kenobi, and Rex, and we're going to go over 3 variables to compare total damage output difference, time, how fast they're winning the battles, and the stats and how they relate to their kit and what they're actually gaining from those Gear 12 pieces. So stay tuned, grab your favorite beverage of choice, because we're going to get right into this.
Let's go! Alright, so breaking down this first team, we are going to look at the king of the meta, which is Commander Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, R2-D2, General Kenobi, and Thrawn. At least according to SwGoH.gg, this is the team that is the most utilized in the arena at the top at the present time. And what makes this team so good is their damage output. And so first of all, looking at their damage before the Gear 12 gear versus with that Gear 12 gear, so when we added Gear 12 gear to every single character, we saw an average of about 1,500 damage increase per attack for each of these characters. That is a lot of damage over time with all of those different characters, with all of those hits that you are doing throughout a battle, dozens and dozens of hits with a 1,500 increase on average. That is huge.
Yeah, it really is huge. And so that 12% increase in damage is actually showing dramatically in the time difference of these battles. So the before battle at just Gear 12 with no maxed out Gear 12 pieces is taking about 2.7 to 2.9 minutes to win the battle, but facing against some of the same teams, you're actually reducing that to about 1.7 to 1.9 minutes. So that 12% increase in damage is actually helping you to beat these teams in over a minute worth of time. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, right?
When I did all these damage, so the way that we did this, guys, if it's not clear, I actually went through frame by frame and added every single bit of damage that every character did one by one. And something else on this that I noticed with this particular team is that they had a lot less hits, because those hits were a lot more efficient, which is why the battle also ended soon. When you're looking at arena, quality of life is a big hot topic right now. Arena can get kind of tedious. You're doing it every day for an hour, especially if you're climbing to the top of your arena shards. You know, that minute of time that saves you on that battle, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, definitely. And so not only are you saving yourself time, but maybe like a good offense is like a strong defense. True. And so you're gaining a bunch of damage. Let's look at these stats right here. Yeah. So Commander Luke is getting damage and crit chance and Hellsteel, and that all kind of falls under his kit. And Han Solo is getting a little bit of tankiness, which he needs because he's a little squishy, but he's also getting a ton of damage, and he, out of all these characters, is getting armor penetration, so he's hitting like a truck after post maxed out Gear 12.
Yeah, if you guys are going to prioritize somebody on this team to give that Gear 12 gear to, I'm going to say Han Solo takes the cake. Save it for Han Solo, give it to Commander Luke next. But I actually gave, on my main account, I gave just the, I think it was the multi-tool to Han Solo, and man, I noticed an immediate difference.
Yeah. Let's go into the next team. And this next team is a General Kenobi lead with Barriss, Nihilus, R2-D2, and Commander Luke. So this is the anti-meta team.
I hate this
They're
team.
only...
Don't run this team.
Don't be that guy.
Don't do it.
So
stop.
So this
stop farming
this
Barriss.
Team,
Stop it.
It's too late. So this team only exists because Commander Luke exists. It's the counter team. General Kenobi in the leader position turns into a wall when he's paired with his buddy Zeta Barriss. And this team wins out by basically just grinding out the enemy. They can't kill Kenobi through this forced taunt and gaining health. And basically Nihilus starts annihilating heroes, and then by the time he's annihilated one or two heroes, they can actually end up killing the very last few heroes on their own with some basic attacks. So overall, this damage is actually not really shown so much from the Gear 12 maxed out pieces. This team kind of wins by just being tanky, so any sort of pieces that are going to be giving damage, I feel like aren't going to be doing much. What do you think, Han?
Yeah, and really this team, you don't run this team because you want to be doing insanely high amounts of damage. It's a timeout team. And you kind of see the same thing with the time difference. I mean, we recorded several battles, and some of the battles after you added the Gear 12 gear were even longer. Some were a bit shorter, but really they kind of, if you average them out, they're about the same. But that's not why you're running this team. You're not running this team to have high DPS. You're running it to time out the other team and to be an annoying little punk. That's why you're running this team. So, but if you look at the stats gain, you kind of see more of that in there. I mean, General Kenobi, he gains health, armor, and resistance. Alright, so he's gaining stuff that works for a tank. So maybe you're gaining by making General Kenobi slightly harder to burn through. Barriss is going to be kind of similar. She gains damage, and I mean, that's cool. Barriss kind of needs damage, but Barriss does no damage. So giving her a percentage of damage increase, it's like, alright, she's going to go from 2,000 to 2,500 or 3,000 per basic hit. You know,
she's still gonna hit like a wet noodle.
She hits like a she's just there to be annoying. Anyway, Nihilus is kind of the same story. He's not gaining much damage, but he's only there so you can just kind of hide him in the corner until he can just blow somebody out of the water. With Annihilate, R2-D2 actually gains pretty good damage. And R2-D2 and CLS, they both gain pretty good damage. I saw some pretty interesting increases in R2-D2's damage in particular on the other team. But when General Kenobi is the leader, I noticed that R2-D2 actually gained slightly less damage, statistically speaking. I don't know if that was isolated just to the battles that we ran. I mean, statistically, he gains the same amount of damage. It's the same, but the actual output, the actual hits that he was laying seemed to be less with General Kenobi lead versus Commander Luke Skywalker. Alright, so moving on to the last team that we took a look at, and this is actually a Rex-led team with General Kenobi, Nihilus, R2-D2, and Thrawn. Love him or hate him, Rex is still very much a presence in the meta, and actually also a pretty good counter to those Rebels, which I know Nukin will agree with. Nukin, you're running this team, aren't you?
I am running this team. I like it. Rex is a resilient little guy, and he's also kind of like a secondary anti-meta team. There's very similar win mechanics from the Kenobi team that we were talking about. Just Nihilus gets to go a little bit quicker, I believe, on this team. And yeah, let's go into the damage comparison. So we also saw kind of like a 12% damage increase when you maxed out these characters post Gear 12. And so you're going to be doing about 1 to 2,000 more damage on your basic attacks, and we saw a little bit of a difference in time. So before, it was taking about 3 minutes to win a battle, and then post Gear 12, when they're fully maxed out, you were shaving about 30 seconds worth of time. So they are doing a little bit more damage, but I think the team is kind of run the same way. You kind of are dependent on Nihilus annihilating heroes, so it's not going to be you're not going to win any much quicker, at least that much quicker, I would say. And I think the stats are pretty good at post Gear 12. What do you think about Rex and some of these other characters?
Yeah, they're good, and based on the way this team is set up, I'm actually surprised that they gained a 12% on their damage. And I think maybe the time wasn't as stark as the Commander Luke Skywalker team, because this team is just less DPS heavy. But I mean, Rex, he gains health, and that's a hole that Rex has. He's a pretty squishy toon, so it's good to see him gaining that health. General Kenobi we already talked about. You know, he's gaining that health, armor resistance. Nihilus as well, he gains a little bit of damage. You know, really not much. You just kind of need to keep him tucked in the corner until you can annihilate. R2-D2 we've also talked about, and Thrawn. So I mean, they gain decent damage. I'm kind of surprised to see that 12%, to be honest with you, because this isn't a team that you're running to do heavy amounts of damage.
Yeah, so like when we had Thrawn and he was doing his fracture attack on the enemy Thrawn, he was doing about 4K-ish, and then after he was doing a little bit more, about 10-12%. I think it really matters about like what pieces you're specifically getting. You may not want to fully max them out, but let's wrap it up in the conclusion. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. So final thoughts on whether it's worth it to, or not at least, to max out these characters post Gear 12, or should we give them a little love? What do you think?
I mean, I can see it both ways. I think it's kind of, it's really up to you. The best benefit I saw in doing this experiment, seeing the teams before the Gear 12 gear and after, was with the high DPS characters, so Commander Luke and Han Solo. I think those are probably two of the best characters to give that Gear 12 gear to. So if you're kind of debating, should I be giving this Gear 12 gear to them? Should I be farming that in territory battles, or should I be going for a character like Hermit Yoda? I think you could be justified in splitting that farm. I don't think you should go all in on one or all in on the other. I think they're both kind of important. And something that I noticed too in fighting these teams is I was going against teams that had everybody maxed out. I was going against teams that had all those gear pieces before I put a single Gear 12 gear piece on, and I was still able to win. It might have been a bit harder, or maybe the battles went a bit longer, but it's not a make or break scenario in my mind. So I feel like it's just, I mean, maybe quality of life, speed up the battles, that kind of thing, do more damage. I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts. What do you think, Nukin?
Yeah, so I think it's not a black or white scenario. I think there's some characters like R2-D2, Commander Luke, Han Solo, even Kenobi that kind of benefit from particular Gear 12 pieces, some actually when they're fully maxed out. And I think it would be worthwhile to put those Gear 12 pieces if you're using those characters in your arena team. Definitely if you're running the meta team.
Right.
But yeah, so I think forget about Hermit Yoda, by the way. I'm not even really interested.
No,
and if you're running
I think he could be important though. I mean, if you look at how we got Jedi or Commander Luke Skywalker, we could need Hermit Yoda to get Jedi Luke. Now, we don't have any inside information on that. It's pure speculation. We don't know anything, but I think you could need him. So I don't want to have no shards.
We definitely don't know anything. I have no interest for Hermit Yoda, and if he gets Jedi Luke, I might miss that boat. But yeah, so I think this was pretty good. And if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I hope, and we both hope actually, that you learn something and you make a well-educated decision on what you're spending your hard-earned guild event store currency, territory battle store currency on. Hermit Yoda, Gear 12 pieces, Gear 11 pieces, etc. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and subscribe to Cubs channel. The links will be in the description for a Cubs fan. And why don't you give them a little teaser of what we're doing next?
Yeah, you bet. So we are going to be continuing to do these collab videos, and in our next video, Nukin and I have been deep in debate talking about the top 10 characters that we want to see in the game from The Last Jedi. And so we're going to talk a lot about all things The Last Jedi. We have no inside information on who is coming. We have no idea. So it's going to be pure speculation. We're going to fangirl a little bit on Star Wars and talk about what we want to see from The Last Jedi. So stay tuned for that. We're looking at doing that sometime next week.
All right. Bye, guys. Cheers.
Then I'm the macho like Ronnie. The club will go out to the granny. This nigga pull up your bandit.